Barb, good to have you here. So you said I'm a boundaries coach who builds boundaries with 12 step. Okay, you kind of bridge boundaries and 12-step recovery. My main 12 step.
Oh, I spelled that wrong. I built boundaries in 12-step recovery, me
Ah,
personally.
okay, got it.
But
Yeah,
I also have a podcast specifically about 12-step recovery.
great. Okay, so let
Forgot
me.
to mention that.
You said my main 12-step fellowship is adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. In doing this work, it just occurred to me that perhaps my niche could be boundaries for women in 12-step recovery, or boundaries for adult children. It's been professional women since that's former me, uh, but so are the others. I know this is a huge question, but want to start the conversation about this with myself. Right. So do you stick with the professional women niche or do you focus on the 12-step niche? Well, what's your gut say or what's your general sense right now?
Um, so I just like had a flash of insight this past week, and I think it's because I'm in the membership now and I'm doing all this work, and I'm like, holy shit, this would be so easy because my podcast is called Fragmented to Whole Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. So that's my market. I get most of my clients from my podcast, but it's a tiny subset of what happens on my podcast. And it seems like most of the people that I coach are in 12-step recovery, but not all of them. And many of them, if they're not in recovery, they get into it after working with me. And so it feels like it would be really easy. I think one of the reasons that I niched into professional women is one, I was a professional woman and I worked at Yale University when I built boundaries, and I was astonished at the impact on my team. And two, professional women have money and can pay for coaching. And so, but also, like I said, many of them are in 12-step recovery. So it's just like, you know, I don't know. I feel like it would be pretty easy to make the shift to people in recovery. Um, in terms of not easy to make the transition with all the stuff in the business and the marketing, but in terms of me doing the work, it would probably be pretty easy.
Yeah. So what I would say is, there's levels of our ideal client, and it's good to figure
Mhm.
out what level each of these pieces goes at. So one is
Mhm.
what's the core issue? And what's the
Yeah.
core island A? So the core island A might be you are somebody who you grew up in this dysfunctional home and you that gave you a difficult time with boundaries. So that might be the island A.
Mhm.
Island A could be professional women who realize they're struggling with boundaries, but they haven't necessarily had that experience in their past, or they haven't made that connection yet. But the symptom is just, man, I'm getting just run over by everybody, and I'm burning out, and I don't know what to do. Then there are the musts, right? And so it could be that it's I don't know, it's not the core symptom, but it just has to be there. It's like, well, you need to. I mean, well, one of the musts is you can afford it. Yeah, that's one of the musts, obviously. But maybe it's one of the musts could be you've had some experience with 12-step addiction or 12-step recovery programs, and maybe not. And the third level, you could have it as a kind of a, it would be nice if. Yeah, it's when I do ideal clients. There's some things that are just I've got a soft spot in my heart for people who but da da da. So it could be professional women boundary recovery, and I've got a soft spot in my heart if you've also done some 12-step addiction recovery or 12-step programs, and you have some background in that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or I've got a soft spot in my heart for people who had really fucked up families growing up and realize
Mhm.
that. So you see what I'm saying? It could be
Mhm. Mhm.
it could
Mhm.
be the core, like that's who it is, or it could be
Mhm.
like this just has to be there, though it's not
Mhm.
the direct issue. And it could be just it'd be nice. And so it's just
Mhm.
deciding where you want to put it. Because I think it's a
Mhm.
good idea. I think the 12-step thing, I would put it somewhere, It's just basically, is it a must or is it a, it'd be nice?
Yeah, I think as you're saying this, that feels really good, both professional women and 12-step recovery. It would be nice. Because I'll coach men, not in my groups. My groups are just for women, but I'm happy to coach men, but I market primarily to women.
Beautiful. Yeah, so it could be right. I got a soft spot in my heart for professional women who are struggling with
Mhm,
YZ particular things in the work.
mhm,
Boy, don't I know that. Got a real
mhm.
soft spot in my heart for people who are gone through some of the 12-step programs because that was also, yeah. So you can just add it in there. Um, and then, yeah, when people read it, it's, oh my God, this is the coach for me. Yeah. So it's always the question of how to the fore do we bring any of these things?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I would say that boundary work for people in addiction or in 12 steps programs, that's a very clear niche, would probably be easier to work. And you could just come up with a workshop, like a signature workshop on that topic and tour that to, I mean, there's so many podcasts on 12 step stuff,
Yeah,
probably.
I've been on most of them.
But yeah, so you can go,
But yeah, and I have done that workshop, but I've done it within the context of 12-step recovery anonymously. And I realized recently, like, I need to take that shit out on the road,
yeah,
not just do it anonymously in 12-step recovery.
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Lots of food for thought. Appreciate it.
It's a beautiful addition to your sort of niching matrix you got.
Mhm.
It definitely, there's something about it that pops.
Yeah.